Hello again from BSP headquarters. You're listening to episode number 10 of the Black Swan podcast. This is where we've been giving you a chance to eavesdrop on conversations with Black Swamp artists and educators, and we've tried to throw out some additional bonus content here and there. As always, feel free to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and help spread the word to your friends and colleagues. As you know, I'm sure, there's a lot of great podcast content out there, whether you're into sports, history, cooking, technology, current events, politics, probably. Whatever. There's all sorts of stuff, and we really appreciate you tuning in to our series. This week, we're headed to the NAMM show in Anaheim, California. It's always an exciting trip as we have a chance to meet a lot of our retail customers face-to-face. These are music retailers from around the U.S., or we have a lot of customers in Europe, in Asia, Australia, South America. We also get to see what's new in the music industry. We get to escape the Michigan winter for a few days, which is always nice. And we get to pig out at the local cheesecake factory. Besides displaying our orchestral products and 25th anniversary limited edition models, we'll also have our Dynamics drums on display with our new Arch Throw-Off. This is a new stylish strainer design of ours. It's available for sale individually in combination with the butt plate, and it's also featured on our Dynamics drums line. We're also going to be making some tweaks to a few of our orchestral drums to accommodate the new Arch Throw-Off, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you can find more details about the Arch Throw-Off on our website. That's at www.blackswamp.com/archthrow. That's all one word, ARCHTHROW. We'll also put that link in the show notes. Get on that, Nathan. Okay, so getting back to today, I had a fun time recording this conversation with Matthew Lau several months ago. Matthew is a BSP concert artist who's actively building a new music and percussion scene in Hong Kong, as well as an active globe trotter. He presents master classes, concerts, performances, and the like around the world. He's an energetic performer and conversationalist, and he's pretty much crafted a very unique and engaging brand for himself, even if somewhat unintentionally. So we talk about that. We talk about some of his other hobbies, the music stuff he's got going on, but enough of listening to me. Let's hear from Matthew. Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Having my coffee.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
So it's 9 p.m. my time, which is 9 a.m. your time in Hong Kong.
Correct.
Okay, so we potentially might both be in our pajamas right now, but just like on different ends of the day.
Right.
Which I thought was pretty cool. I'm sure it's not the case, but
it's totally the case.
okay, you just rolled out of bed.
About an hour ago, yeah.
I'm about to roll into bed, so any minute
That
I'm going to
early?
turn it. No, actually not. Actually, we went on a 3-day weekend vacation, and I got two girls, and we left them with my wife's parents up where we were. So, I got all night. I can chat and talk. I have.
Someone going to say 9 p.m. bedtime. Have you gotten your dinner at the soup plantation?
Right.
With the early bird special.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, usually, I'm in bed by 8:30 and watching Golden Girls with my wife.
I got you. Golden Girls my jam.
Right. I know.
We
I
talked
remember
about this briefly, yeah.
Prior conversations.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Back to reality. One thing I wanted to touch on immediately is how much traveling you do, because you were, I don't know where you were at the beginning of the year, but just in the last month, you were in Venezuela and then Palm Beach, and then you just got back from Australia, I think.
I was in Argentina, correction.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I was in Argentina. I was in Buenos Aires. I was in the capital for a week.
Okay.
And then I flew to Florida.
Right. And then Australia.
Australia is strictly personal. We got married in New Zealand. like 2 weeks ago. We got married on a cliff,
Right.
where a lot of the rings and the Hobbit was shot. It was amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that was. I thought it was a work trip, but totally personal. Congratulations on
Thank you.
getting married. I had no idea. And then New Zealand, what an awesome place. Are you Lord of the Rings fans then, or just happen
We're
to be that
not.
way?
I mean, we thought about we his family's in California, so we thought about like, oh, when we go home, we'll go to like Santa Barbara, we'll get some tacos, we'll get it done. But then
Right.
again, we wanted something like more dramatic.
Yeah.
We're gay, we like drama. So this is a helicopter chopper in,
Yeah.
like in the cliff, in the mountains, 4 degrees Celsius, freezing.
Yeah.
We got married there. It was fabulous.
Yeah. And then family, everybody, or was this the two of you?
No. Mm-mm. My mom was dramatic and furious because she was invited.
Oh, no.
So Chinese mom and all, but
Yeah.
it was just the two of us. No ceremony, like a small little thing, just the two of us. It was intimate. It was what we wanted.
Yeah, that's great. And then immediate honeymoon, obviously.
Kind
like
of
it was all
pseudo, because my best friend lived in Sydney, so we thought we should take a little time and like go to Sydney. I've been to Australia a couple of times to work, to play. Last year, 2018, but he's never been.
Okay.
So our real honeymoon is going to be sometime early 2020. I hope.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's kind of normal. I mean, maybe just because your schedule is crazy busy, like you kind of have to plan it all out. But I mean, I literally just talked to Megan Arns, and she and her husband sort of did the same thing. They got married, and they didn't have time to go on a honeymoon, so they were planning
Kind
it
of the
out for
same.
22.
I mean, my husband's name's also Matt. So if I'm talking
Okay.
about, it's also if
It's
I'm
for-
talking about Matt, I'm not conceited talking
Right,
myself in
right.
a third person. So he also works in a university, not in music. So
Right.
his holiday is a little different than mine.
Okay.
Because I'm like sort of I only teach when the semester starts and ends. Basically, summer and winter is all my traveling time, so it's a little bit easier for me. It's for him, it's a little harder. So we wanted to really plan it out.
Yeah.
Maybe Chinese New Year break or Christmas break. We have some holidays, so we can
Right.
plan like a 2-week trip.
And sorry, did you say what you were going to do already, or you haven't figured that out? Or it's a surprise?
It's going to be in Morocco, I think.
Oh, holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna stay in Riyadh, Like again, we're dramatic, but it's
Yeah.
going to be southern Spain and I think Morocco. Morocco was definitely on top of his list, and I know nothing about Morocco. After googling for a bit, it's actually really beautiful, and there's a lot to learn about. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Super cool. But you're used to traveling around the world. And that's kind of what I was getting at first is like, I mean, you're constantly globetrotting. I mean, is that kind of normal for you at this point?
I mean, I graduated about 2 years ago. This wasn't planned at all. Like,
Yeah.
I did not expect to travel as much as what I'm doing right now. I guess it's expected because Hong Kong is a really small like region in
Right.
Asia, and I've got enough gigs here, but it's not enough. And one of my closest teacher, Eduardo, he is like a world traveler as well. So like when we were doing our doctorate, like we complain about our commute. I live in the city. I used to live in Manhattan. My school was on Long Island. I have not moved like out on Long Island. So I would take that train, the magical train, like 90 minutes out. And we all complain about traveling and like driving and stuff, but like Eduardo would, his primary residence is not even in New York, it's in Pennsylvania where his wife was. So he would drive all this way to New York, and he would just fly off to Italy the next morning for a conducting gig, and he would fly back
Right.
to a concert.
Yeah.
So like talking to him about traveling, and he'd be like, maybe you should do that. Maybe, I think you should try doing that when you're out of school. And then one thing led to another. My first sort of big international gig was when I was a student. I was still doing my doctorate, and there was a sort of percussion festival in Australia.
Yeah.
It was in, I forget what it was. It was in Brisbane, I think.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I think maybe like this is my second year into my doctorate, and I was going home that summer. What would be summer for us in July, winter for them. Um, Australia is not that far from Hong Kong. It'll be like what 8 hours flight. It's not that far
Oh,
compared to
okay.
flying to
Yeah.
the States. Um, I think in general people in Hong Kong and really used to traveling because it's just a small place. So when you go to take any vacation, you have to fly somewhere else.
Right.
So that's sort of got me started into that game. And when I graduated, I was sending out a couple of emails and it's not even emails. It may be like Facebook contacts. It was just not even professional stuff. It was just
Right.
yeah. And that sort of just got started and snowballed from there.
So school was at that time Stony Brook is where your
Yes.
doctorate?
Yep.
Okay. And Eduardo was your teacher there?
Yes,
Or
Eduardo Leandro.
right. And so even then, even going to school getting your doctorate, you were starting to book gigs around the world. And is that something, I mean, you see yourself continuing to do, or is there opportunity for you to kind of settle down somewhere?
I think so. I mean, I'm based in Hong Kong. My parents are here. I got a part-time job teaching in university. The system is very different here.
Sure.
There's one of the reasons why I moved back here, and there's a need for percussion, but we can talk about it later.
Sure.
What was I? Oh, doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was a little like 50-50 take a risk situation because when I graduated, everybody in my class, my dual partner, it's from the States. She's from Chicago and she lives in Tennessee right now.
Right.
We were all looking for jobs and stuff, and it's a really tough market.
That's Abby.
Yeah, that's Abby Fisher. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's very tough. So we were all looking for jobs, and I was talking to one of my old teacher back in Hong Kong. He is American. He's the principal timpanist for the Philharmonic here. He's like 49, 48, I think. He's been here.
He's still young.
Years.
He's still young.
He is so young.
Right. I'm not quite there yet, but yeah.
He's a fun, cool guy. Every time we hang out, we go to nights like cigar bars and we'll talk.
Oh yeah.
We'll,
Who's this?
James Bosnos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's from Chicago. He went to school in Boston. He got this job 12, 13 years ago. So I was talking to him about it, and it was like, why don't you maybe come back and maybe start teaching? Because I know what you're doing. It's not known in Hong Kong. So
sure.
Because I left a long time ago. Things are so different right now. If you compare to big cities, around the world, the students, the percussion knowledge, the music scene is thriving. We have a thriving music scene here. They bring in big artists, big orchestra, bring soloists. But for some reason, percussion is lagging way behind. Like I'm talking about like 10 years, 15 years.
Right.
And it was shock to me because the students are capable of doing amazing things. They're really smart. But it's just not a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people have gone abroad and came back. or it wasn't a thing to go abroad about like a decade ago. So I was like, maybe I try it out, and then one thing to another, my recital, my gigs overseas. I mean, the audience probably don't know, but I play contemporary music. I don't.
Yes.
I don't fit into the super tonal drumline / basic world. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So it's always like a fight for us contemporary musicians about like how to break our music into more general public, because we don't want to keep playing for the same 50 to 100 audience member every time, because
Yeah. Sure.
it's too like serious, it's too much of an academia kind of thing. So that's something that I've been pushing. But it's been going really well. Like I've been playing concerts and recital, maybe like a narrated recital. You get a little bit of info, and excuse me, and people have been really responsive to that kind of thing. So I think that is going to be an ongoing thing for me.
Yeah, that's cool. So when your old professor said nobody's really doing what you're doing here, that you're meaning contemporary percussion and contemporary music in Hong Kong?
Everybody. Oh, you mean the one in my teacher in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, because he's also really into new music. He's like a composer. He writes crazy music, like, but nobody plays his stuff because it's too hard. Like it's not humane. So he was like, give it a shot. Like I think you're capable with that. You equip with the personality and the skill. I think you can do it. Because to me, this was all new, like what I would do, or like I just graduated. I was moving at that time. I was yelling at the shipping company about getting crates for my marimba, and it was a mess. So that was July. I graduated in May, and that was July, and I had to move. So it was just like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do?
All right. Well, let's just for context, let's just back up a bit. Like, okay, a lot of bit, and see how you basically got started. Like how you went from, I mean, obviously you're from Hong Kong, but you went to school in America to study percussion, and then now you're back in Hong Kong. Like how did you even get to the U.S.? Like did you study percussion in school, or how did this begin to develop?
Let's see. I started learning piano first when I was 6. I think everybody does here. A piano or violin, some sort of like starter instrument.
Oh, okay.
I picked up percussion when I was 10. My elementary school has a very good band program. So I went to private school, and they have a lot of instruments. They have good teachers, and I wanted to, like, to be honest, I wanted to play the flute because it was like front row. It was like play all the melodies. It's all like shiny and and whatnot. But I remember that time. This was pre-braces, so my teeth was like not good, right? So I went to the interview.
The embouchure wasn't there yet.
Oh God, no. And the band director, he was kind of mean. He is still kind of mean. He was like, you can't play woodwind because you have bad teeth, right? And I'm
nice.
Like, great.
Yeah.
So what did I do?
My life is ruined.
My life is ruined. I could have been the world's greatest flautist,
Right.
But he was like, you should play the tuba, or you should play percussion.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom at that time was like, what's the tuba? Like, and and she looked at it. She was like, "Okay, this is like huge, and you're skinny, and that looks like it costs a lot of money, right?" I mean, she didn't know this is gonna be a rabbit hole. But,
yeah.
So we picked percussion,
right? Because percussion doesn't cost a lot of money ever.
I mean, at that time, to her, she's in fashion. She's a businesswoman, so to her, buying a pair of drumstick and a pad.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So I chose percussion, and I went to one of the band practice, and I thought, oh, it's really cool. You can get all this instrument you can play this in one piece, you can play the other one in another piece, you can play this in one piece, you can walk around, you can go get food, you can, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
So I the usual route. I actually play piano really well. I kept playing piano until maybe I was in high school. It was around, I would say, 10th grade.
Okay.
That because I suck in school, like in general,
like studies, like general studies.
Well, I just don't see the point of studying something. Why you would put so much time and time to study something that you won't use? Like, I know I suck at science, so I'm not going to go into science.
Right.
So it's just, and my parents are cool with it. Like, as long as you're good, you don't do anything stupid, you're great. And I talked to my teacher, my music teacher, about it at school at that time, and he said you might think about going into music. And that was really my first time of like, oh wait, you can go to college for music.
Yeah, that's an option.
So I looked into it, and Hong Kong's really small. Like it, I think I don't even know. It's the size of Manhattan and the Bronx combined, I think. But we have 8 million people crammed into this place.
Right.
So not a lot of schools here. Only 2, I think. 3 if you count one of them, but there's no performance program. Only 2 universities offer that kind of program. So I got into one of them, auditioned and all of them. It was still new to me until I met my teacher, this American guy, the timpanist, Jim.
Right.
Because at that point I was playing a lot of, it was I was just told to do. You need to practice your excerpts. You have to do your stick control, your delicate, you have to do your rudiment, like everything. But that was about 2004, and YouTube was just started. Remember?
Yeah, yeah.
It was all like pixelated, and it was all like super ghetto.
For all the kids out there, YouTube is like a video app or website you can watch videos and stuff on. For those of you who don't know.
Oh yeah, go online right now. It's
have you ever heard of Facebook?
Revolutionary.
It's pretty popular now.
I know. You have to get a dial-up little thing, and you have to wait for JPEG to load.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
And it was. I remember around freshman year. At the end of my freshman year, I saw a lot of different rap that I don't know. But nobody was playing that, in Hong Kong, and I asked my teacher, and he said, I know something about it, but I don't know a lot, because that was way after he graduated, and he knows that, this is something that he doesn't know, and he knows that I should be learning that kind of rap, or that part of percussion should be in my education. So he was like, maybe you should start looking into grad school abroad, and, and I was like, yeah, great, because I travel with my mom a lot. She's in fashion. So when I was little, she has all these business meetings in New York and LA, mostly New York. So I would go with her every summer, every Christmas. Maybe when I was in high school, I would start hitting up teachers and maybe can I get a lesson? So I had already known what was, that sort of percussion world like. I got a little teaser. So I looked into it. I was really inquisitive. I am still really inquisitive. So I that's sort of I really want to know more.
Yeah.
That got me into where I was. So I auditioned in, I auditioned in 5-6 schools in 10 days. I don't know how I do it.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was an exam back home I had to take. And I had 11 days, and I auditioned in 5 schools. I think I got into 4 of them, except for 1. And then I had to make a decision. And then I went to NYU. I decided to go to NYU.
Yeah.
For my master's.
Did your mom travel with you when you were doing these auditions?
Yeah, she has her business thing going on, and she's also paying my bills. So
Right.
I was mooching a little bit, but I was 19,
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But you go to New York, and maybe that's somewhat convenient if she's already traveling there and have an opportunity to
That was
maybe
kind
that.
of her thinking. She's
Yeah.
always like meeting with people. So I was like, hey, can I like get a ticket? You know, and she's like, yeah, great, I'll go with you. You know, we book hotel
Yeah.
with all of this. You know, it's all taken care of. It's
Right.
fabulous.
Yeah. And then, so you go to NYU and then ultimately Stony Brook. And you're kind of playing or gigging in the US a little bit or doing some other stuff or just, I guess, straight from Stony Brook back to Hong Kong. That's what we
Um,
talked about early.
Kind of. I mean, when I
Yeah.
when I started at NYU, it was all new to me because the studio was different. I wasn't used to sharing a studio with like what 19, 20 more students.
Yeah, sure.
So I was learning a lot, and NYU kept me really busy. I chose that program because it's super diverse.
Well,
But I don't think I've told you this. I was going to be the like I had an orchestral path lined up. Like I did my
oh, really?
audition. I was like a machine. I went to
Yeah.
audition. I went to festivals. I went to all of that.
Yeah.
And decided not to do it, and then switched to contemporary music. That was all NYU.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So what was the switch there?
I went to Aspen Music Festival one summer. So when I was in Aspen, you know, beautiful location. That was 2011. I remember.
Hmm.
You know, out in the mountains, you practice, It's a 2 month program, so you have a lot of time to practice and think. And you know, deers come by, bears come by, and you know you saw them like one thin of you know just between them and you is just one thin layer of glass, right?
Right.
So I remember I was practicing. It was like a eureka moment. I remember it was a studio class. We were doing cymbals, or we were doing no, we were doing xylophone. Or yeah, we were doing xylophone. I played timpani. That was my thing. Like I did all the timpani audition and everything.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in that studio class, and as an observer, they were all talking about. I mean, no offense to all the orchestral player out there. I love orchestral music. I a lot of my skills still come from my timpani playing technique and the sound concept that was taught by my timpanist teacher.
Sure.
But getting the job is one thing. Playing the music is another thing. To get to the job, you're basically like a machine. And
Yeah.
I don't see myself in the next what 5, 10, 15 years in the hopes of trying to get a job in that world, and in the same time what you're playing is not really like what you feel, or it's not music to me,
Yeah.
the excerpt. So I told my teacher right there that I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to do it because you know it was like a light bulb moment went off.
Yeah, sure.
So it was halfway through Aspen, and I remember he was like, "Great, don't do it then."
good
He
good for you.
he's great. He's Jonathan Haas. I
Oh
met
yeah,
him at
sure.
NYU. So John Haas was like, "Great, don't do it. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it." So I went to the library. There was like a very small like music library. I picked up one vibraphone piece. I remember, and I started reading it on, and it was just like a first contemporary piece. But that was like one of the hardest piece in the rep. I didn't know that back then. So when getting back to New York, talking to Jonathan about it, like what should I do? Because getting a doctor wasn't a thing for me because I suck at school. Like
Yeah.
studying is not part of me.
Right.
So he was like, maybe we should start thinking about further studying because you have so much that you don't know. Like I told him, like I don't know how to play this music.
Yeah.
This is not tonal music. Is you know I play a lot of Bach. I play a lot of tonal music. Just this is just new to me, and he you know, he knew me really well personally too. So he said, you know, I can send you to all these different teachers. You can take lessons, and they teach in a university as well. If you like them, maybe you should go for a DMA. What do you think? And so, studying, you know, to write, you have to classes and everything.
Very academic.
Yeah, I took 1 year off between auditions because my second year of my master's, I have a lot to do. I have my recitals. School is just too busy, so I took 1 year off to really think about what I wanted to. and the doctor audition requirement was a lot. There was the pre-screening tape to the actual audition was a lot of music to prepare.
Oh, sure.
So I took 1 year off. I went to three. Yeah, I met with Eduardo. I really like him as a person and his aesthetic, and I learned a lot from him. So that was like, okay, I'm gonna start my DMA there.
Yeah.
So I started. Also, I don't have to move because the other choice was Boston and Montreal. So I was talking about
Right.
I can suck it up and take that train.
And make it easier on yourself.
I did. I did suck it up and take that train. I took that train 5 days a week my first year. Like that 120-minute train ride.
Oh,
not pretty.
Is that one way?
Yeah, a lot of drunk people.
Oh, well. I can imagine, I guess.
Oh my
over
God.
2 hours.
Yeah. It's worth it. Like, it was a good program. My teacher was fabulous. He taught me a lot about a lot of things. We can talk about anywhere from global warming to music to like photography for hours and hours.
Yeah.
I was gigging a little bit, not a lot. My connections are back in the city. Usually people I met back in my NYU days, and they all stayed in the city, but not a lot of gigging opportunity because the really good gigs are, my teachers like John Haas and the other, like his friend, they're all playing all that kind of big gigs. So like all the students have, not second tier gigs. I was paid in cookies once.
Yeah, really.
And
At least you got paid.
And they were not good.
No, they were horrible cookies. That's
what I did?
Worse than not getting paid.
I tried to resell them to my doorman, and he won't take it because I got it for free, right? So I was like, I'm gonna sell you these, like I don't know, like $2 a pop, and he was like,
I could just tell they're not good cookies.
I know, like if I could make $10 of this gig, but it was good. It was like one rehearsal. It was like an opera gig, so
yeah. Is this where you met Abby then? That's at Stony Brook?
At NYU, we.
Oh, okay.
My gap year was her first year.
Okay.
So I met Abby in NYU, and she was also talking about doing a DMA, and is that take a lesson with Eduardo, doing the same thing. Like she also has really specific vision and aesthetic of what she wanted to do in the contemporary world. So I think it was a good fit. The school and the program really allows her to do what she wants to do, and she's doing really well.
And then when did you guys start sort of officially playing as a duo?
When she got to Stony Brook.
Okay.
I forgot, second year maybe. We started to play. We share a room in Stony Brook because this is a little something else. Stony Brook is a strange place. There's no undergrad program, so everybody coming in are a bunch of PhD DMAs and maybe some master student.
Okay.
So everybody's commuting. Everybody has something going on. It was extremely focused, which is good. And we have our own practice rooms. Basically her own room because I'm never out there. So,
Yeah.
So we decided to play together, and we're still playing together. I'm bringing her to Hong Kong next year. I got a grant. It was approved of the budget, everything. Yeah, we're gonna play a duo program hopefully next May.
At your school, Hong Kong Baptist University?
No, we're gonna make it like a Celine Dion extravaganza kind of thing. We're gonna get a stage. We're gonna get a black box theater. No, this is real. I'm trying to get a black box. So
okay. Well,
she might do it. She might do a class in the school. That's like on the side, but
right. Well, yeah. I mean, one thing I really wanted to to pick your brain about also was, I mean, you called yourself being dramatic earlier, and then you mentioned Celine Dion. Like, you have this really unique, kind of fun brand. Like,
Oh, you mean a wallflower like me? No, I'm not.
right. Like, well, you've created a brand for yourself. Like, when we met at PASIC, and you had like stickers of your profile and like your kind of vibe, your visual down, and then obviously, you know, you really identified your aesthetic kind of musically and how you represent yourself like as a brand. Like, is that something you sort of consciously developed, or it's just kind of who you are and is permeated what you do?
I think a lot has to do with my upbringing, because my parents, given Chinese and all, they're very they're fun. They're not very conservative.
Right.
You know, my mom's in fashion. She's seen a lot of people, and my dad, he is in fashion now, but he was working for the government. He was I don't even know what he does. Something to do with housing department. Something brainy.
Right.
So, but he was never like, oh, you need to be a lawyer. You need to be a doctor. You need to be this. Because I know a lot of people here just doing this, not even just Hong Kong, like all over Asia, because it's a guaranteed way to make money. You can live a comfortable life, but you're not happy doing that, right?
Sure.
But my parents never like that. They were like, do whatever you want that makes you happy. So I was never shy. I mean, hello, if you met me. I was never shy.
I've seen it in person. Yes.
Yeah, you have to experience it in person. So it's too good. It's too good.
Right.
Yeah. So I was always like, I wanted to do what I want, and I'm not shy about it. I went through a dark phase when I was doing my master, because it was a lot of different opinion. It's you're also in New York, so people are not exactly the nicest, and they're very negative at points.
Sure.
And there are a lot of people telling me what to do, and say, oh, you don't have a competition experience. You're not a prodigy. You don't have all of this experience in your resume, or you don't win this competition, or blah blah blah. Oh, you shouldn't do this because it's not right, because who we're not doing that. And I was like, why can't I do what I want, right?
Yeah, who cares?
There was like a brief, I don't know, 1 year and a half point, and when I got to Stony Brook, I met all these fabulous colleagues of mine, and we all very diverse. We all play contemporary music, but we all have so much different things going on, and I got to experience a lot of like, oh my god, this is like what I know is only like a little sliver.
Right.
So at that point I was like, F those people, I didn't listen to them. I'm gonna find my own voice, and Eduardo really helped me on rap and everything. I mean, what I like musically reflect on my personality, and my branding. It's like it happened like by accident, to be honest.
Yeah.
Those stickers and the graphic that you saw on my face, that was not intentional.
Yeah.
My hair wasn't intentional to begin with. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's just who you are.
Because I had a barber, because I have really straight, like thin Asian hair. So when I put it down after a shower, it's like straight, right?
Yeah.
So when you see like people with gorgeous curly thick hair who wake up and like just have like a poof going on, like I was really jealous. And growing up and going to salons, they were like, you can't do it because you have thin Asian hair.
Right.
So, I didn't try to do it, but up until I met this barber in New York, he was like, oh, we know we can make it happen. He's this like great Russian guy. So he gave me a cut, and I don't know what he does, but think of my poof now, but maybe 2 inches slightly shorter.
Okay.
Right? So it happened. So I'm like, how can I do it? How can I do it to the extreme, right? Like, if I wanted to go all out, like a mohawk punk kind of thing, what do I do? So I asked my friend who had a mohawk, and like, you should use this gel. So I did, and it got bigger and bigger, and At one point, it was almost like a sculpture. It was too tall at the time, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was kind of scary. People like kids were pointing at me and like they were like, "Mom, what is that?" And then it got toned down to where I mean it's not subtle, but it's like it's like a pastry. It really does look like a pastry.
Right. It's not. I mean, it's not full of jam or jelly or anything.
You might be surprised. It's
on what day it is. It's still early in the morning, so anything.
It's full of secrets. You don't,
well, I don't know.
But my friend from Australia, Adam Tan, who has a thriving blog and YouTube following, and he said I should put that on a sticker. That was his idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's smart because it does. I mean, I know it seems small. I mean, it's just part of your appearance, but it does set you apart. And I don't mean brand like just the way you look, but like the way you approach, I guess, your business, like how you're traveling and the music you're playing and your look, your vibe, like it all seems very cohesive. Like, and I was just curious, I guess, if you've kind of thought it all through, or if it's all these pieces have just kind of come into place as you've developed as a percussionist. And
they sort of just come together. I mean, I'm a Libra. I'm a very controlling. I get paranoid when I know things are not in my control. But there's something like as I get older, things you can control, and they might be a good accident, right? So that's what's happening.
Is that something you would suggest for kind of younger players? Or, I mean, obviously to be themselves and not, trying, like you said, you had maybe some critics or some negative vibes. Like, obviously you don't listen to those. Be yourself, be who you are. But as far as kind of developing a broader picture of themselves, like, would you suggest that as a player?
I would suggest talk to a lot of people.
Sure.
Yes, you should trust your teacher. You should do your exercises, your etudes, your keep a practice journal. You should trust your teacher on certain things like that. That's like a hard fact, right? What you should play. If you play this piece, you can achieve this technique. You can play the next piece, blah blah blah. But when you talk to more people, you have to keep an open mind. Basically, like there's always more than one solution. Just because who did this in their life doesn't mean you have to do the same thing. It might work out for her or him, but it might not work out for you. When I was in Florida in Mallet Lab, that the summer intensive that I taught, a lot of the younger, like the senior in high school, freshman college, they want a definite answer on a lot of things, and I tell them I don't know the answer because it's not as black and white as you think.
Sure.
It takes years to figure it out. Like I'm still trying to figure out. Like, talk to a lot of people. Talk to your peers. Talk to your upperclassmen. Talk to your teacher. Talk to your teacher's friend. Take a lot of lessons, and really, really, really think.
Yeah.
But you cannot just talk to people and not practice. That's just not going to happen. Right. You have to practice. You have to be kind to people. When you talk to people, you're gonna talk to nice people. You're gonna get like nasty people, and be positive about things. I think being positive is really important, especially you're in the arts. This is not exactly easy, so I think you have to be positive the whole time. And if you talk to some nasty people, great. You don't have to be nasty. That's just good manners. You can just back off and just don't get sucked up into their negative energy.
Yeah, I should have you talk to my girls sometime. Like, just don't be nasty. Just be
be nasty.
Do use your manners.
Don't be nasty. Oh my God, yes.
Well, I think
we're gonna have a great time. Oh my God.
One thing, important point is, I mean, obviously, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. I mean, you got to learn, you got to study, you got to learn all your scales and your rudiments, and you got to put all your pieces into place so that when you kind of get to a point where you have as much together as you can start developing your sort of performance view, or like the idea of what you want to be, like you've developed.
And it's also a lot easier right now in this day and age. You have internet, you have I mean,
Yeah, sure.
you have the universe in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
You can Google anything.
Yeah.
Back in, I mean, you're like what 2 years older than me, right? You remember what it's like, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
emails were not even like a thing. You break fax.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah,
like
I remember the first time I saw the internet, like
oh
when
my,
I was basically
the AOL. You've got mail.
yeah. I was in school going to college, and my roommate was like, "Have you heard of the internet?" I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" So we went to the computer lab, and he's like, "Here, you just log into this, and you can search for anything you want." And actually, the first thing I searched for was Evelyn Glennie, which was like, "Why? I don't know. I want to see what Evelyn Glennie's doing right now." So that's the first thing I searched on the internet. But so yeah, I mean, a ton has changed, and I mean, when you mentioned you were searching YouTube, to find kind of stuff that you were interested in music. So yeah, the tools are there for sure.
I mean, it's always the same thing, whether you have the internet or not. The one way or another, you will find out what you want to find out. It involves maybe a phone call, a
Right.
letter, and tea-stained parchment. I don't know. Maybe a fax, maybe a plane ticket. Now that you can just IM people and they will reply you right away.
Yeah, sure.
I think to a certain extent, the younger generation take it for granted. I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go into a lesson and they will play they could play the piece, and I'm like, what's the piece about? Who's the composer, right? And they were
Right.
like, I don't know. I was like, Google right now, and I'm gonna time you. And from the moment you take their phone, 5 seconds. You can't even take 5 seconds in your life to do this, but you're on Instagram 24/7. This is not okay.
Yeah.
There's something that they won't go through their head because they always have internet. They have always have an iPhone. I had a little Nokia with Snake, with T9.
Yeah. Yeah. They were born into it.
Oh my god, when I had my Nokia thing, it was like holy grail, because it was like, it cost a lot of money, and I have to beg for my mother like 4 years up until like when I turned 14 or so. I'm entitled to it because I'm old enough. But now we'll get like a burner phone plan that I can't call anybody, or you can only have like 60 minutes on your plan. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, our youngest is 7.5, and she's like, well, so and so at school has a phone. I was like, what? No, sorry, kid, you're not getting a phone right now. Like,
nope.
I'm sure it's a hand me down something, but nah, it's crazy.
Yep, stick to the hand-me-down. Stick to the Nokia. They are robust. The Nokia would work for 20
She got to work
years.
she got to work for it. She's got to build some.
She will work for it.
Build some strength.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Hong Kong, obviously traveling around doing stuff. You have another project besides Fisher Lau. Is the Up Strike project?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So what is that? What's happening there?
We are a part of. We do pottery. No, I'm kidding.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'll be honest right now, but
yeah, we do pottery and we do beer. Actually, we'll get into the beer soon. I'm not a beer drinker, but my partner is.
Okay.
So we started this thing last December. This was December 2018.
Mm-hmm.
The other partner, the other artistic director / co-founder, Miss Karen Yu, she is great. She's fabulous. It's basically like me, but she's a lot younger. We actually grew up together in Hong Kong. Our moms are best friends.
Okay.
But she went to Canada to study for her undergrad and her master's in McGill University in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
We share a lot of the same aesthetic and a lot of the same pieces that we play. And then when I moved back, she was also finishing out in McGill, and she was like, yo, do you want to start something together? Because my first year, when I first moved back to Hong Kong, I'm still trying to learn what is going on in the art scene, right? What is the funding like? What is the player like? What is the people like? So it took me like a year to figure out, like, okay, there's funding. You have to ask for it. You have to apply for it. You have to write a nice proposal.
Sure.
The people, I know who is playing where. I know my teachers. I know the students. Excuse me. And after a year, we decided, yeah, we need a percussion group because there's nothing going on right now here that is in vogue, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Like with the pieces that they're playing, the structure is very different in school. We don't have like a head of percussion post like many of the schools in the United States. So it's very hard to unify a studio because you will have a studio of 10 people and they could be studying with 5 different teachers, and they don't really do things together. So I was like, we need to do something together, otherwise this art form is not moving forward in Hong Kong. And I think the people are capable of processing hard music, and this is something that they should do. They're not going to play like, string quartet transcription on the marimba. They're not like. I mean, it's sad. It's still happening now, but it's like half and half now because they're aware of the other pieces. So we started a group to sort of fill this gap. Full house, great concert, and we're gonna do another big concert this December. That's our annual concert.
Okay.
It's been going really well. We have a lot of smaller concerts in between. It's going back from what I said about contemporary music. It's all about approachable. Approach it in a fun way. I want my grandma, my aunt, my mom to understand that kind of music. I think that's like the goal. Which is they're doing that, and we're doing it to a point that, like, I do most of the talking, and then we will do this. It's a narrated concert. They understand it. It's great. They understand that kind of music, and it's something that I've been doing around the world as well. And we did a beer pairing concert. I don't drink beer.
Right.
Okay, everybody needs to calm down. When I tell you I can feel like I can hear like an imaginary gasp right now. I don't drink beer. I don't like anything bubbly. I don't know why. I like wine and whiskey.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of whiskey than I am of beer. I'll admit to. So
I used to hate whiskey, but as I get older, I went to Ireland once and did a distillery tour. It was something new to me. Like it was like, oh wow, I can really taste all these different notes, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, we did Karen is a really fanatic for craft beer and sour beer. She brewed her own. So we did a beer pairing concert actually 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So what we did was a couple of pieces, and each beer was chosen by her Majesty. We did like I don't know beer. There's like an IPA from Massachusetts that's like the taste is all she described it as your run of the mill all American sort of IPA standard weeknight kind of thing. So we paired it with a John Cage piece, right? Because John Cage. Yeah. And we did like a more sour beer, weird raspberry chocolatey kind of thing. I mean, to me, it tastes like soap. To like an electronic piece with squeaky toy, so it's like that kind of thing. So
the audience was tasting beers kind of while you were presenting and performing the pieces. Is that what was happening?
Okay. There was instruction because we have servers. It says number 1 and number 2. Drink number 1 while number 1 is playing. Drink number 2 while number 2 is playing. If you don't like it, don't drink it. We can put it down to like a bucket. Don't drink it before anything started. It's a nice concept.
It's totally unique. I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah, to be honest, it was kind of gamble for us because we didn't know how. I mean, it's kind of expensive to do all the expenses and for the beer, for the server, for the venue.
Right.
The cover charge is not low. It's not expensive, but it's not low. What is it like? We charge 25 US, I think, for 4 beers.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Right,
like full. I mean, were they like flights or they were
maybe like half a pint?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
half a pint. But at the end, there's all you can drink home brew. So if you like that kind of stuff, you can get hammered. But
I guess you had a flight of Ubers waiting outside. So
totally. We have cabs ready. I myself have a little wine caddy with me because I like wine. So I'm just gonna drink my wine while they're doing beer. But we're doing that, and we have a couple of smaller concerts usually in between
Okay.
our big concerts. So audience building, it's happening. It's we are both surprised
Right.
by the reaction and everything because yes, we're both very positive people, but you need to be skeptical at times, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's the plan
Sure.
B?
Yeah.
Next year we're going to Russia.
Okay.
We're invited to a festival, so that's our first tour.
Yeah. Very cool. And you take will be a beer tour also? You'll take your homebrews on the road.
Yeah, we're gonna take our full quartet on the road,
Oh,
and the beer.
right. So it is a quartet. So you and Karen started the project, but there are two other members.
It's right now the founding members, like the four of us, because we're both percussionists. We wanted to do something percussion-y, right?
Right.
But it's really a collective.
Oh, okay.
One of our next projects is going to be with a flautist. I think sometime early part of 2020. So it's it's like with Play-Doh, you can mold us and do things.
Yeah. Sure. Cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. What else we want to talk about?
We can talk about everything, anything in life.
Well, we touched on your kind of motivation or your source for enthusiasm. I think maybe came from what I can tell from your parents, somewhat, or just from your upbringing. Is that fair to say, or is there another source?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's my upbringing, but the thing is, I really do believe like nice, positive people will attract other nice, positive people, right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
So I think there's a lot of who I met and who I choose to be friends with. Oh, and MATLAB, I met Josh Jones for the first time. Right? Like I follow him, and I was like, oh my god, this is Josh Jones. Wow.
Yeah,
I met him. He's one of the most energetic human being on earth.
Yep, he is one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. Just the amount of energy and enthusiasm he has, and obviously talent.
I mean, everybody has talent. Everybody is practicing a lot. That's given. But when I met him, what he was going through in life, I think became who he is too. Like he has a certain appreciation, and gratitude, and energy for life. It's amazing.
Yep. And who else did you meet at MATLAB? I think there was some other.
It was me, Josh, Cameron, and Gloria.
Okay. Halevsky, right?
Yeah. She's coming to Hong Kong in a month.
Oh, really? Yeah, I had no idea.
She's doing something in Thailand. I remember there is a conference, I think, in Bangkok.
Okay.
It's Hong Kong. I mean, Asia is really small.
Right.
So, from Hong Kong, it's only like 2-hour flight to Japan, to Thailand, to Southeast Asia. So I think she's on her way home back to Chicago, and she's gonna fly from Hong Kong. And I was like, great. We'll do a little, casual concert sharing session. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, very cool. And so you're able to kind of set all that up and find a space, and
we are trying to do it
figure
now. One of my buddy, the dealer of BSP, EO.
Right.
She moved into a new place, and one of her goal is to sort of promote this kind of thing because we are lacking. It's expensive. This is an expensive city because everything is so packed. So, there's a lot of old industrial building being used and artist studio. And she moved into a new building. It's a nice rehearsal space. Also, she rented out for this kind of purpose, and she really wanted to bring in other artists from different places for people to really experience here in Hong Kong. So we're trying to set up something like casual here.
Yeah, very cool. What is there anything outside of music or percussion that inspires you, or you that kind of keeps you going?
I really like languages. It's one of my thing.
Well, I was going to ask you about that too, because I saw somewhere you're a polyglot. I think it was just on your website, but so you speak multiple languages?
I speak like more than two.
Right.
That's not a lot, but compared to real polyglot,
It's more than
like
I
if you-
speak, so I consider it a lot.
No, like I think it's when I talk to people about languages, it's they think it's unnecessary. Some of them think it's unnecessary because they think like English is enough.
Hmm.
I beg to differ. Like I've done enough. I mean, a lot of things in the Spanish speaking world. My malice are from Spain.
Sure.
I went to Argentina twice. I'm going to. I have contacts in places I was trying to I'm trying to go to. I'm going to Mexico and Peru next month, and
Right.
I think once you speak their language, you open up like a different side of the world to you, like the culture, the people. It's one of the best way to meet people, I think.
Yeah. Well, you have a much stronger connection. I mean, if you can speak, even if it's not fluently, but at least communicate the language, I'm sure you have a much stronger connection.
Oh, absolutely. Like the last year when I first went to Argentina for my first thing, it was because that was not planned because that was just a vacation for me. And then I thought to myself, maybe I should make something happen there because I'm flying
Right.
there for a vacation anyway. It was all because of I speak my pidgin Spanish,
Right. Yeah.
and that sort
Yeah.
of opens up different avenues and
Yeah.
different people. And I mean, and with Iñaki in Spain as well, it was the same deal.
Hmm.
It was because when I learned Spanish, it was what 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
My husband already speaks Spanish fluently. He has worked in Latin America. He's a researcher, so
Okay.
he can do it in professional academic setting.
Right.
And I asked him what would be great to learn because I wanted to learn something new, but I'm no spring chicken. I'm
Right.
not a sponge. I'm not gonna absorb, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna be dumb and learn Swedish because
Right.
there are not enough Swedish people in the world
Right.
for me to practice Swedish.
Who are you going to
with.
practice with? Right. Yeah.
I know, and they all speak great English. So
Right.
I looked into the statistic. Spanish was top of the list, and I mean I can't speak French, but I studied French long enough. I can read pretty well. And
Okay.
I thought it's going to be easier for me to pick up Spanish, which was the case.
Yeah.
So that was sort of how I got there.
Yeah. And that was another question of mine. I mean, this is a more recent endeavor, I guess. I mean, you didn't start when you were younger learning multiple languages. This was something that kind of developed the last couple of years.
Actually, growing up in Hong Kong has an advantage because we kids here in school they have to learn both English, and two types of Chinese. So
Okay.
so it's like when you're 6, you go to school. Everything's bilingual here, so
Right.
you will see signs in English anyway. But in
Right.
school, you have to learn two different Chinese and English.
Okay.
So I think that's sort of like maybe something or no brain is working differently
Right.
than people will learn one. I don't know. This is something linguists can answer.
Sure. So two types of Chinese, Mandarin and
Cantonese.
okay. And yeah, I mean, I always find it amazing, to be honest. Like, we'll go to international trade shows or conventions and have customers come from Asia or different countries in Europe or South America, and for the most part, everyone speaks very good English, and I am extremely thankful just that we're able to communicate. And obviously, I wish I'm no spring chicken either, so it would be hard to invest the time and energy and make progress. But to be able to speak multiple languages is very impressive.
It's very hard, especially if you don't live in that. There's some drilling upstairs going on.
Yeah, I hear it.
But-
I thought maybe you were just on the street somewhere, but that's fine.
No, well, it's okay.
I heard sirens a while ago. I was hoping everything was okay.
Sirens. I didn't hear it.
Oh, I thought there was some sirens or something. Maybe that was here. Maybe that was outside my house.
Yeah, my closest street. It's like half a mile away.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
that's
gonna
done.
be you.
Okay,
People are hammering
it's me. Somebody was breaking down the door earlier. I wasn't sure if that was on your end or my end.
I don't know. There's some hammering going on right now. Do you hear right now? There's some knocking.
Okay. No, I don't. Is somebody? Are you okay? Are you in danger, Matthew? Are you safe?
I should evacuate. To let you know.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about was knitting.
Oh yeah. We talked about it.
Okay. I mean, I knew when we'd met before, it came up, and then I was kind of reading about it online too. So, I mean, is that something you've been doing for a long time? Something your grandma taught you?
I mean, long time is not. No, my grandma is not exactly domestic.
Maybe my grandma taught you how to knit?
No. She's kind of fierce. She doesn't really do any of that. But who taught me? Oh, right. It was. It was. I started in NYU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's fairly. I mean, it's a while ago, but it's something newer, I guess.
Sure.
My good friend Becky, we went to school together. She was crocheting the whole time.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "What are you doing?" She said, "Oh, this is crocheting. Let me show you." So I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," because I've always heard about like I'm also really into arts and craft. Like growing up, I love making things, paper mache. I was really good at paper mache.
Okay.
So I asked her, I was like, "So what can you do with crocheting?" Like I said, like if I want to learn something, I want to learn something that's useful.
Right.
She was like, "Oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this," and I said, "Well, but the thing is, that's not really what I want because crochet, if you want to get technical, the stitches are different than knitting. You knit with 2 needles. You crochet with 1 crochet hooks, and it's limited. I think personally." So I said, if I were to make myself a sweater, what should I do?
Right.
And she was like, "Oh, then you need to knit. You can't crochet yourself a sweater."
Like, if you wanted to make a doily, you could crochet. But if you wanted a sweater, you need to knit.
You can make a skirt out of crocheting, but it's going to look ugly. It's not going to, you're going to look homeless for a while.
That could be in. That might be a thing now.
It's shabby chic.
Right, shabby chic. They have shabby chic in Hong Kong?
Oh, yeah. There's so much shabby chic going on.
I thought that was just like a Midwestern soccer mom thing.
I don't think they know it's called shabby chic, but when I see it on the street and it's like...
They're like, boom, shabby chic.
Yeah, like the Midwestern soccer mom thing, like I'm gonna piss people off, but this is like a New Jersey thing, I think. Like when you see the mom with their haircut, and it's like a short hair bob with the backs shaved, straight, and that's like the I want to see the manager haircut, like Hard Garden, right? We don't get a breadstick. It's happening here, but I don't think they know it. I don't. Like, oh yeah, like because my husband pointed out to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it, with the streaky highlights.
Wow. Yeah, I never would have thought that look would catch on overseas anywhere.
And to be honest, it's the same kind of people. Like I want to see the manager haircut. It's the same kind of it's the same demographic. Like they would go to the supermarket and they would ask for like certain thing, and they were like, "Oh no, I want that orange because that's like better." It's like hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think the next time my wife tells me she's gonna go get her hair done, I'm going to ask her to get I want to see the manager.
Oh, you know special. What? There's a meme. I need to say that meme.
Yeah.
It's a really good meme. It's so good. Like, I've experienced this in New Jersey because my good friend, the one who taught me to knit, is from Jersey. So she would drive me around and she was like, "Oh, you want to see trashy? I'll show you trashy." So we went to like this mall. Yeah. Oh, God. It was too good. French tip and all. Anyway, so knitting.
Right.
And also because I am a very skinny person, it's hard to find clothes that really, really fit me. Yeah. So it was cold in New York, so I was like, maybe I should get myself a sweater. And I want a good sweater. I don't want acrylic. I don't want crappy fiber, because growing up with my mom, she would always tell me you should always use natural fiber. What's the difference between this wool? What's the difference between rayon and acrylic and polyblend and lamb's wool and merino? So I had a good idea of fabric. Right. But when you go to the store, if you want to get a nice smooth sweater out of good wool, it's gonna cost you like hundreds of dollars, right?
Sure.
So I asked my friend Becky. It was like, so how would I make a sweater under this budget with this yarn? It was like, oh, it's gonna cost you like $80. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a lot cheaper than I thought. So
Right.
I started to knit.
And you just start with like making little small sweaters, like Cabbage Patch Doll size sweaters, or
I made a ton of hats. I made
lots of hats.
I made there was this picture somewhere. I made the entire studio beanies.
Yeah. Well, we should start like a Black Swamp Matthew Lau beanie line.
Merch, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, also because I was stressed out and
Okay.
like because of audition for doctorate, and like I wanted something that de-stressed me, and that was really good. And how did I crank out so many beanies and sweaters? It's those train ride.
Right. Well, yeah, you got the time.
I was like going on like at one point I was like I had a metronome on, and I was like maybe I should knit in a rhythm. I did.
Right.
Because
the most efficient knitting process.
Each stitch has like a momentum going on. It's like a 3-step process. So if I can do it in like, I don't know, 98, I can count out how many rows I can do in one rise, or you know what I mean? Like, so I can really know like, okay, one beanie is like, 2 days.
Right. See, you say you weren't good in school, but this is the math involved in that.
Oh, no. Knitters are really bad with math, so there's a website.
Knitters are bad with math.
You were just filling the blanks.
Okay. So you have, I read online, and I read it online, so it must be true. I saw it on the internet. It has to be true that you're level 1 master knitter from the Knitting Guild Association. So how do you get certified as a level 1 master knitter? Like, what's the qualification there?
I was reading about it leisurely because I had already listened to a lot of podcasts on knitting, and there's a couple of knitting designers and tutorials I follow. They kept talking about it, and I was like, what is that? And I went to a knitting convention. There's a knitting convention.
Yeah.
I
can bet there's something for everyone in the world.
It's in Seattle, Chicago, New York every year.
Okay.
Every 2 years. And there's a sub-convention for just sock knitting in Seattle. It's true.
I
and it says if you have like a certain level, you can get a discount.
Okay. A discount on what?
For the admission, because it's
I see.
It's like PASIC, right? It's 4 days, and you have classes and everything. It's expensive.
Yeah.
So, and also when I was looking to like maybe what was I doing? I was looking for like a private like knitting instructor, because there are something that I need to ask. And the yarn store around my neighborhood, the classes are in weird times, right?
Sure.
And I saw like a hiring notice saying, "Oh, we're looking for someone to teach like, I don't know, a raglan sweater course. Can do you have this years of experience? Do you have this certificate?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, there's something for knitting." So I looked into it, and it's actually not hard to do. My skill set at that time, making sweaters, I'm a very fast learner. And when I learn something, I want to learn it really well. And I get really technical about it. And I downloaded the packet. You have to send in a binder. They will tell you to knit, I don't know, a 100 swatch, like little 4x4 square of little things.
Okay.
They'll tell you what you need to do. They'll need, what kind of yarn to do, and you'll put it on a piece of paper, put it in the binder, and send it to get graded, basically.
Oh, interesting. So it's like an online course almost, a mail-in course.
Kind of. The emailing is very slow, I would say. It's not.
Right.
I mean, it's not very fast, but it was like I sent my binder. I don't know where they're located. I don't actually know, but I sent my binder over there. I think somewhere in the west coast.
Good.
They sent me back and said, "Oh, this 4 swatches is not acceptable. Do it again." And I will do it again. Because comparing to knitting a sweater, this is really small. I can whip one really quickly.
Sure.
It's the thinking behind. Like it's kind of like a math question in that sense. It's like if you need to make a triangle in, I don't know, 4x4, how many stitches do you need to decrease every other row, and then
Okay.
you will test knit. You will spend a lot of time test knitting,
Okay.
and then you will find the solution and just put it on there.
Yeah. Interesting.
I believe there are 3 levels. No, the level 1 is actually very low. I think everybody got level 1. I mean, a
Okay.
lot of knitters whom I know can make great things. They are beyond level 1, but they just don't do that certification. I thought it was
Right.
really fun to do because I was like, oh, I had all this time to knit swatches on the train anyway.
Yeah. No, it's a good challenge, and I mean the reason I kind of bring it up is because sometimes I like to find out what people do to either decompress or to kind of focus maybe some energy into something else that's not music related, and sounds like this might be it.
I mean, there was also a great deal written about knitting and helping with like dementia and de-stressing people. It's a real
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
I mean, I felt really. I don't think I was super de-stressed. You know, I was still stressed out because I was stressed over my garment, like not looking great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like,
you had ulterior motives, I guess.
it de-stresses my part of not learning that vibraphone piece, and then
Right.
in the moment of knitting, you're really just knitting. Especially, I mean, you know what you like to knit, and
Yeah.
when I knit, I know certain patterns would serve the purpose, so I would pick those patterns to really like go with what I'm looking for, like
Sure.
mentally.
Right.
It's like coloring in a sense.
Yeah, no, and I believe it. I mean, I know a lot of people that do adult color, and you're the first person I know that's a level 1 master knitter. But it makes sense. I mean, something that can de-stress or kind of take you away from what you're doing during the day, and kind of focus that energy somewhere else for a time. I think it's smart. All right, Matt. Well, I appreciate you getting up. We've met before, and it was awesome, and I just learned a ton more about you now. So I appreciate you taking the time and having a conversation, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon.
All right, thank you. Let me know if you need anything.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, good night.
This has been a BSP production, recorded and produced out of the Black Swamp Percussion facilities in Zeeland, Michigan. Audio assistance by Nathan Coles. And music by Adam Hopper.
Thank you for being a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Travel down the road and back
Hey,
again.
so we started from the bottom, now we're here, girl.
It's true,
Oh, yeah.
pal and a confidant.
This is my part right here. Ooh, oh, if I did everything,
Everyone you knew.
new. The biggest gift, the biggest. Thank you for being my friend. Oh, yeah. Hallelujah.